Big Friendly Swim podcast. I'm the Big Friendly host, and today's guest is a recent NCAA champion and current junior at University of Georgia. Abby, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. So we're going to get things started right away here. Talk to me about NCAAs and specifically that day of the 1650. And
Um,
what were your feelings like heading into the race? And then, like, how do you think it went overall once the race was done?
yeah. Um, so going into the day of the mile, I think I was more nervous than I'd like to admit. I've really been focused this season on conquering those nerves. I'm a person who has lots of anxiety, and lots of doubts in myself. So I think the more people that were like, "Oh, I'm so excited for your mile," the more I felt like the pressure of it. But one thing that I was trying to remind myself, being surrounded by such an amazing field, was that obviously I deserved to be there too, if I got into that heat with them. So just reminding myself that like I wasn't out of place, that I could do it, and knowing that the girls around me are all such amazing people definitely helped. Like before we got on the blocks, we're all just chatting in the ready room. Like, we've all swam against each other for so many years. So it became more of a peaceful feeling and excitement, and yeah, I ended up feeling really good before I dove in. So.
You talked about like when people were telling you like good luck before your race and like oh I can't wait to see you swim, that added some pressure. Did the knowledge of being top seed in the race contribute to any pressure at all?
Absolutely. I think what I keep telling people is I didn't start out good at swimming. All my friends got way faster than me beforehand, so I've never really experienced any top top seed status up until this point. So going into NC's as top seed, I was definitely a little bit scared. So.
So with three NCAA's down at this point, 3 seasons down, how has each NCAA season and each championship meet sort of driven you into the next season and set you up for what your goals would be in the following season?
hmm I think NCAA's is such a unique meet during the college season because every other meet you have your whole team, men and women usually at a duel, or even SECs we go men and women. And so those meets, it feels very college swimming. It's easy to get super loud and hype. But NCAA's, you're taking a smaller amount of people. It's just girls. And I always say it's like it kind of has more of like a club swimming vibe. It's like you have to really hone in on that team chemistry and like remind like get everybody, like for example, when everybody's doing a team cheer at the beginning, like if you have 9 girls, it's like a lot quieter. So just making sure everybody's screaming, the vibe's definitely different. So NC's is just, it's also an opportunity where you're seeing people from other conferences. It is the most elite group of women in the country, so it's definitely high pressure. But NC's, I would say it helps me once I've passed SECs, it's kind of like the home stretch. It's wanting to make sure that I can, well, I was going to say hit my taper, but I don't really need much of a taper as a swimmer. But just making sure I set myself up right for it and then get through the meet as strong as I can, represent my team, finish off a good season for Georgia, and then take a small break and head into summer. I think how I do at NC's the year before doesn't always affect the following season just because I like to compartmentalize and keep things what's right in front of me is what I'm focused on. Um, and not if things go well, I can try and use that a little bit for the next season, but especially if things don't go how I wanted, just like being able to let that go and move on to the next thing is like super important to me.
So obviously this year it ended up being an NCAA's at your home pool.
hmm
And what did it mean for you to be able to go into a meet at your home pool, the place you train in every day, and win a national title?
It was so special. It's funny because we had a bunch of alumni reach out from the first national championship team for UGA. And they just, every alumni, Steph has worked really hard to get us in contact with a ton of different alumni who either come back and speak to us or send handwritten letters or DM us on Instagram. They're super in contact with us. And I think that that helps you understand the weight of how amazing a program is when you're still in it, when people come back and tell you how much it meant to them. So having them explain how much it means to be a Georgia Bulldog, then to be able to host NCAAs in our home turf, and then to win a national title on top of it in front of a home crowd in my home pool. Super special to have a bunch of my teammates there. The ones who didn't make the meet, a lot of them were in the stands, which is not something that you could necessarily have anywhere else. And then just to be able to do it for Steph. Honestly, Rachel Steggy was a huge inspiration for that swim. I remember watching her become Steph's first SEC champion last year, and just how special that moment was. Like, as her first year as head coach, Rachel's first SEC title, getting to watch them hug afterwards. I think it was just, I was like, wouldn't it be so cool if I could be her first NCAA champion and we could have that moment and just make everybody, all the dogs proud. So it was so cool to do it here.
You know, Georgia's had a pretty storied history of like some really, really good swimmers. I mean, like, I think back to like Allison Schmidt, Olivia Smoliga.
Oh, yeah.
On like the men's side, you've got like Chase Kalish, Jay Litherland. Like, Georgia's always kind of, it's one of those teams that I put in with like NC State, Florida, and a lot of other college programs that are really, really good, but kind of have flown under the radar in the past like
For
10
sure.
or so years. Because like
Yeah.
on the women's side, it's been like Stanford and Virginia have been like the two dominant teams for the
Mhm.
most part, I think. And then like on the men's side, it's been like, besides last year, Cal and Texas had top two since like 2014.
That's crazy.
So they've flown under the radar, but they've been very, very good.
Yeah, I think I hate to use the ironic phrase, but it really is that underdog mentality. Knowing the dynasty, of course, like when Steph swam, obviously she's a 28-time All-American, multiple-time national championship team. To know that our head coach comes from the dynasty era of Georgia and like being able to be a part of that regrowth into what we have been and what we can be again. I think her vision and her leadership is something super exciting and something, like you said, it's flying under the radar, but not for too long. I mean,
Yeah.
we're getting the ball rolling and we're
Yeah.
getting a lot of amazing recruits, and I think we're on a really good trajectory.
Now, it's something that I've talked to a lot of college coaches and a lot of athletes from colleges, and it's the first time that I've heard that a coach is reaching out to alumni and putting them in contact with athletes on the team. And like, I gotta highlight that for a second, because that's a really smart move on the coach's part. Like, you're
It is
bringing in
so
these people
special.
who love the team and spreading that love to the people who are on the team now.
Absolutely. And because we always talk about like swimming for something greater than yourself. And so being able to understand the women who came before you, like we got to meet one of the first women who was on like the swim team for UGA. So one of the women who went to the athletic department when Title IX was created and was like, "Hey, I want to start a swim team." And so just knowing our roots, we're able to focus on all generations of Georgia swimming, whether it be the people who came before us, the present, which we're obviously super focused on this like amazing culture that we have, and then what's for the future? Like, how can we bring in the best recruits who best demonstrate our values and who can help make this program into what we already know it can be? And women who just we they're just amazing people outside of being amazing athletes and students.
That must have been a pretty awesome like conversation to get to have and just person to get to meet.
Hmm.
Like, my a similar experience that I had was on my college team. I swim for a community college,
Hmm.
and I'm out of eligibility now. I'm done. but my two of my years, we had a guy on the team who swam on the very first iteration of our college team, and
Wow.
our the team was founded in like 2011, so it was a fairly recent team. But he'd
Yeah.
swam for a few years, and then he still had eligibility, and came back and swam during the COVID year, and then finished up his last year. Like he's like 33, and he's got two kids,
Oh
and
my
it
God.
like he was like the team dad. Like
Yeah.
everyone loved him, and he just was constantly positive and like supporting everyone. Like,
Yeah.
and he went best times.
Oh my gosh.
At like
How do you-
33, he went best times.
I will be lucky if I can swim a mile at 33.
He beat me in the mile.
No
By
way.
6/100ths of a second, he beat me in the mile, ran me down in like the last like 200 yards.
How did you
So
let him do that?
oh my god, he's a monster. Like we put him in water polo games to be like the monster and just swim through people. And then he gets out and he's like all happy and bubbly and like playing football with his kids, like the sweetest guy. But in the pool, he's a menace.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It's so funny. It just reminded me of him, like to the point that like we call him Sean Nasty,
Oh,
but
okay.
like as a term of endearment. Like like I feel like anybody else, it sounds so mean.
Yeah, that's
But he's
hilarious.
like a sweetheart.
Good for him, honestly.
Yeah. It just
Awesome.
reminded me of that. Like he was on the first iteration of the team and he was still on the team like
Yeah.
10 years later.
Never too old to live your
Yeah.
dreams. That's
So,
amazing.
correct me if my timeline is wrong here, but your first season on the team would have been still under Jack Baurele, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, after your freshman year, because again, correct me if I'm wrong, the team was combined for your freshman year then.
Yes, it was.
So talk to me about that transition to a split program just after your freshman year, and like if the team dynamic changed and what the transition was like for you to a new college coach. Because at least on a surface level, or at least, and from everything that I've seen, it seems like the Georgia coaches have kept everything going just in full stride. Like it seems like it's still a great program over there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So freshman year, it was combined and we still were under Jack and like I had Neil as my distance coach. And I mean, it was great. I loved it. There was nothing wrong with it. I think as a high schooler, I had always swam with boys. So, I wanted a combined program going into college. I think it was just familiar. I did look at like split programs, but I always was like, "Ugh, I want to have boys." I don't know. That's what I thought back then. So when they announced after my freshman year that they were splitting the program, I was definitely concerned. I was like, I before they had named the coach or anything, I was like, oh, like change, scary. But no, when Steph was announced as head coach and then Fernando as an assistant and obviously Jerry now brought on too, um, it has just been the most amazing experience that I never saw coming. I think when you have just a strong group of women together, it's a really special thing. Like we're all going through the same experiences together. We also like are able to make the training a little more specific. I think same way you would divide up amongst different groups, whether it be sprint and mid distance, not every guy and girl are going to swim the same. So like being able to have a women's team where we're splitting it up even further, the training becomes that much more individualized. Whereas like maybe you're doing an interval when you're combined, maybe you're doing an interval that works for both the guys and the girls. When if you're a split team, you can do an interval that's more suited for each one, like where we're getting equivalent amounts of rest or something like that. But outside of in the pool, it's given us a really great opportunity to build a women's culture under a female head coach, which is super awesome because she's been exactly where we are. Um, but the only way I can describe it is it's just made us so much closer and we're able to do a lot of the goofy activities that we wouldn't be able to do with like we'd feel more embarrassed if we were doing it in front of the men's team, but we can sit down as a group of girls and tell each other how we feel about each other and praise each other and Like one thing we do is at the end of every week, we do a circle where we give a shout out to somebody or say something we're grateful for. And it's really created this environment where we know how much we mean to one another. And I don't know if that would have happened with our combined program, but it's been fantastic with just having the women's team. And we're still super close with the men's team. Like we all live basically, if you're not in the dorms, like in the same neighborhood, we're all hanging out all the time. Our practice times aren't that different, so we're overlapping. A lot of the men came and watched the women's meet. So we still get the benefits of having the guys
Yeah.
around with like that much more focus on what we're doing. Because like at NCAA's, we're just the women, which was freshman year. It was like, whoa, this is weird. We're missing half our teammates. Like it's been great.
And Coach Stephanie, she was an assistant coach
Yes.
for almost a decade before becoming the women's head coach. And I think that was a really smart move on. I'm not sure who was involved in the hiring process, but whoever was involved in the hiring process, it was a really smart move to have the coach that you selected be someone who's already had experience with the team. And as you mentioned before, she swam with the team. So like somebody who's got that history to be
Yeah.
able to set up the team for success, like that probably made it a much smoother transition than like an
Yeah.
outside hire would have been.
Yeah. Super smooth transition. And like, I think if you bring in somebody that the team doesn't know, it can be you I don't know, it can be like a weird transition. However, with Steph, like even under Jack, when she would talk to us about like she would tear up talking about how much Georgia meant to her just as an assistant. So when she came in, we know like, oh, she means business. Like this program is her baby and we are it just gives you that much more like inspiration and like fire in you to want to achieve for this. There's so much love for this program all around and coming from the top. So,
There's like one guy in the swim comment section who whenever every time I scroll through any college meet, his I don't know what his name is, but he has in parentheses like "Go Dogs,"
oh
and
my gosh, I
every
know who you're talking
single
about.
comment he's like cheering on the Georgia team. I don't know why that reminded me of it.
We have like conspiracy theories about it because I think it's like I love the ISL or I miss the ISL, something like that. But
Yeah,
we know who you're talking about because we're always like, what did they say? We're like, is it this person? Is it this person? Just like totally
it's
joking.
so funny.
So much love for the dogs. We'll take it.
Yeah, like he's a big fan, but it's just funny every comment I see. Like, I think I was scrolling through Swim before this, and he commented like Georgia's gonna have an upset for the whole meet. Like sometimes they're like fairly reasonable predictions, and sometimes he just throws out something crazy just for fun.
Hey, we'll take the
Yeah,
unwavering, you know?
yeah, oh yeah.
Anything can happen in swimming. So,
It's just so it gets a laugh out of me every time, like how
yeah.
excited he is for anything Georgia related. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's the best.
So now with your senior season on your radar,
Mhm.
are you starting to think about what's next for you after college? Because this was something that I got excited about. Is that at least according to the Georgia, like your page on like the Georgia Swim and Dive website, you're majoring in journalism.
Yeah.
So talk to me about your plans for that and like plans for the world like outside of swimming.
Yeah. It's funny. I have a lot of niche interests, whether it's like from photography to writing to student athletes. I have no idea what I'm gonna end up doing. But I do, the reason I picked journalism is because I love to write and I love to get to know people and their stories and stuff like this, is something I could totally see myself doing. Um, but I'm also interested, like I said, student athlete development is something really interesting to me. We have an amazing program here called the Georgia Way. And basically, it's just everything outside of athletics that a student athlete could potentially need, like help with a resume, mental health care, networking events, tutoring services, like anything you could potentially need, they help facilitate our awards banquets, anything like that. I think I would enjoy that because my minor is sports management. So tying in some sort of creative outlet, producing content potentially. But I'm really not sure yet. I think, being a college athlete sometimes that's my focus right now, and graduating with a degree and doing the best job I can balancing all the things. And then hopefully having alumni as my network be able to maybe help me narrow that down. I definitely have had conversations with different ones of them about different potential post collegiate things. So maybe grad school, who knows?
It's funny because before I started doing all this, because I don't know how much of my interviews you've seen, but the first two that I did one with Tom Shields and Nathan Adrian. Those were the first two that I did. And it was December 2020 and November 2021. So
Wow.
I did 2 in a year.
Okay.
And then I did like 10 in 2022 and then like 20 last year. And I've done more this year than I have in like the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Like I have interviews weekly scheduled right now through the first week of June.
Wow. Good for you.
It's been awesome. But I was a biochemistry major.
Wow. Okay, big change of course.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
honestly, when people say stuff like that, it makes me feel better because it's like, how are you supposed to know at 18, 19 years old
Yeah,
what you're going to do for the rest of your life? You just pick something that you're interested, which for me, it's getting to talk to people and interviewing people, learning how to tell their stories, producing content related to that, learning how to edit photos, taking pictures, all those things in a communications field. And who knows, maybe I'll end up in something totally different like that,
Like this has been the most fun that I've ever had in like something pursuing like a career.
Yeah.
Like doing these interviews and doing stuff like this. Like I've gotten to talk to so many cool people and I'm
Yeah.
like every day I'm still like amazed that like anybody is willing. Every day I get just as excited now when somebody agrees to an interview than I did like the first time it happened.
Yeah.
Like it's just it's so much fun.
Yeah.
That leads me into some fun questions that I've got for you.
Okay.
And this is something I've been trying to do more often because I think it both makes for better Instagram reels. And it's just fun for the people involved.
Yeah.
So my first one for you is if you could only swim one race for the rest of your swim career, however long that may be, what would it be?
So I have a clarification question. Am I automatically as good as I am at my best event at this event? Or is it just from right now?
Sure.
I could pick any race and
Yeah.
be fully as good at it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's a good clarifying question, actually.
Yeah, I think 100 fly would be really sick.
I would do the 50 fly.
50 fly. I think I would want a little bit longer of a race, but definitely something much shorter than the mile. And 100 fly is just so much fun. I think it would be so cool to be good at that race. I think that'd be fun.
I have always been a diehard, I don't know if you know who this is, but Nicolas Santos. I've been a diehard Nicolas Santos fan. He was a Brazilian swimmer. He retired like 2 years ago. And he retired at 42, and he went out as world champion in the 50 butterfly and nearly broke his own world record.
Oh my gosh.
First of all, I want to be him.
Yes. My coach, Fernando, is going to get so mad that I didn't know who that was because he's a world champion from Brazil. But that is awesome. To be that good at 40s is sick.
And like a few months ago, he swam at a random meet for fun and went like 23-3 in the 50 fly in long course. Which, like, what a final at World Championship. It's ridiculous. Like, I'm kind of crossing my fingers that he just comes out of retirement for, like, one more swim. just to screw with everyone.
He just comes out and makes the Olympic team or something. It's so cool.
So, as a distance swimmer, what do you think your hypothetical best 50 free time would be? If you got in the water right now, or if you had gotten in the water like at NCAA's and they threw you like on the 200 free relay, what do you think you would have gone?
Okay, so this is definitely embarrassing. But I have not a single sprint bone in my body. I would be shocked if I could break 24. Like, total seriousness, I would be shocked if I broke 24. So we'll say 24-1. I think I would go that because it's funny. People will be like, Abby, you like take out your 500 and your best 100 free. I'm like, no, we can't all be good at everything. Like, I just don't have any fast twitch muscle in my body.
See, I found out that I was a good distance swimmer when I went my lifetime best 50 free time about 5 minutes after swimming a mile. I swam the
Exactly.
mile, got out, next heat, got up and let off a 200 free relay, and
Yeah.
went a best time.
That's totally, if I was gonna do it, that's how I would have to do it. I would need to do a distance race and then immediately,
Yeah.
because what I always say is like when I hit the wall at the end of a 50 free, that's when I feel like, oh, now I could swim a 50.
Yeah.
I
I
need
need
a
like at least like a mile warm up before I can sprint.
100%, 100%.
So this might be the same answer to the first question I asked you, but what do you think your main event would be if let's say the mile wasn't an event? What do you
Okay.
think would be the main event you'd train for?
Okay. Aside from the 500,
Yeah, aside from the 500.
okay. I would say probably to fly because I feel like there's like a overlap between like two fly, 4 a.m. and distance freestylers. I think if I trained enough, I could be decent at a two fly, but I definitely am dying on that last 50.
I was gonna say, as a distance swimmer who's always been thrown in the two fly as like my third event,
Oh yeah.
I was expecting you to say
I can't lie. I gotta give the stereotypical distance swimmer answer.
that. So, but what sport do you think you'd be doing if you weren't a swimmer?
Oh my gosh. Another stereotypical swimmer answer, but I have zero coordination on land. So maybe, gosh, I don't even know. I'm really not good at anything else. Maybe I would do like distance running because that could be like something endurance-ish, or I mean, it's still swimming, but maybe I would take up triathlons or something like that. Definitely nothing with a ball. Um,
See,
but
I
yeah,
took up water
I'd be
polo
really
very briefly,
okay.
and
Water polo seems fun.
I tried it because my swim coach, because our team, like, our swim season is in the spring and our
Yeah.
water polo season's in the fall. So my coach kept telling me, he's like, do water polo, do water polo. And I was on
Mhm.
the team with like 15 other guys. Like, it was a loaded team. We ended up placing like 10th in the state, and everybody on deck, whenever we'd go to a game, would be terrified of me. Because I'm a
What
big
did you
guy.
do?
Because I'm like 6'4", like I'm huge. So like I'm 6'4" and I'm built like a truck. So I'd walk on
You're
deck
like
and I'd
jump into
watch
that
these
guy.
people like look at each other like, and it was, and then I'd get in the water and they'd realize I didn't know what I was doing. But
Okay. Fair. Typical swimmer fashion.
yeah,
That's
I could
hilarious.
outswim them, but I couldn't do anything else.
I was like, what? Why are they scared of you? Are you drowning them or something?
No, it's just because I'm massive and like usually I'd have a beard and it would make me look older.
Okay.
So they'd
Okay.
think that I'm like in my 30s and some crazy dad that they brought to play water polo.
You're like, are you sure you're supposed to be here?
So my last question for you, and this one might be the most fun one that we've got.
hmm
What are some of the best memories you've had or any fun stories that you can share in your time at Georgia?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Hard to narrow down because literally I feel like I make a best memory every single day. When people say like best years of your lives, I'm like, yeah, I'm surrounded by my best friends every single day. We all live in the same place. Um, the first one that comes to mind is Um, so Steph had this bulldog that she had loved and was like her best friend named George, and he had passed away during my freshman year. And so after she became head coach, there was a ton of discussion about like would she be ready for another dog? And so we got to watch her get a baby bulldog. Our whole team was there. Um, and we got to like pretend that we had to call a team meeting because of some crazy thing, and we needed her to like talk to the whole team, and she came in and there was this baby bulldog in the chair, and we turned around and showed her, and she burst into tears. And now obviously Winnie, her name, she is our like team mascot. We love her. She's on deck sometimes. But just getting to like watch this puppy grow as her career progresses, like every year is like another, it's like a calendar mark of, oh, Winnie's a year old, Steph's been head coach for a year. And so getting to watch this baby bulldog that we got to present her, that was an amazing memory. And you can find it on our Instagram. There's a video of us.
That's so awesome. If I'll edit it into this video so anybody who's watching on YouTube can see it.
Fernando's gonna take Steph and Callie into his office, and we have to be like super, super quiet when we walk in. So like when you come in, like you have to be really serious because we're pranking her. She thinks we did something really wrong.
Okay.
So one of us is gonna be like, we just wanted to be like really honest with you, like we messed up and we need to show you something, and then we'll turn the picture around.
Yeah,
So.
got her.
Somebody's not great.
Riley, get on it.
Hey, we just wanted to be like honest with you about something, and we just have something to show you.
It was the sweetest moment ever. She might have actually just reposted it because the 1 year, it was right after we came back from NC's last year. So I think she just reposted it. But
That's so awesome.
Ever.
Oh yeah. Sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, I was
If
just gonna say,
you got more stories to share, keep going.
I mean, I was just gonna like talk about dual meets and stuff. I mean, it's just like the me talking about all the people that have come back and gotten to speak with us. Like those are great memories. We've gotten to a really great one is before every home dual meet, we all get in a circle with our like strobe lights in our locker room, and we play Cascada every time we touch and jump. And Steph comes in, and it's super fun, and we're just super high, like screaming at the top of our lungs before we go out. And I think it's like a huge mark of growth for me, because in high school I'd be like so worried, so tense before I race. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't be jumping around and getting crazy because like I'm gonna waste my energy. Versus now it's like, no, when you're having so much fun, that's when you swim your best, because you're enjoying yourself, and that's what it's all about. So that's the one thing when I look back on my Georgia career, I'm going to remember us singing every time we touch in the locker room. And like at the end of a set, when we're doing like a bunch of hundreds best average, like Steph will play that song before the last one, and we're like, oh, it's time to lock in. Like every time we touch, it's time to go. So yeah, that's another one of my favorites.
You know, you're talking about like taking things like less seriously and just having more fun. When I was in high school, I think I definitely took things way too seriously.
Oh,
like
yeah.
one of my best friends, like he tried to come up to me behind the blocks. We weren't friends at the time, and he tried to come up to me behind the blocks and like talk to me about random stuff, or if we were next to each other in a heat, he'd talk to me about random stuff, and I'm like, no, let me focus. And then like I think junior year of high school, I finally talked some sense into myself, and I'm like, first of all, you idiot, he's trying to be your friend. Talk to him. Second of all, he's trying to make things more fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy that. So like it became more of, now I was dragging him with me to the blocks, and we both were having like a great time doing best times. It just reminded me of that.
Oh yeah, I mean that's totally how I am. Like I used to think that I needed to be so like locked in, but that would just make me nervous. Versus now I'm like, I'm sure I annoy some people in the ready room because I'm like trying to start random conversations like, oh my gosh, how are you? How's the fam? Like talking about anything, just because it's so much more fun when you're not all in your head.
I started like dressing goofier too. Like I'd get like bright multicolored swimsuits, and like I had these abomination of Crocs for about 2 years.
Oh
I
no.
had Crocs with avocados all over them, and the
That is
only reason I bought them was because they were like $20.
I need those.
They're probably still on Amazon. They're hilarious. And one of my swimmers brought me avocado socks for Christmas.
Yeah.
Like one of the kids that I coach, so I would wear those Crocs and socks behind the blocks and just like pretend to be like in a fashion show. And my
The people
coach would
next to
just
you are probably like, who is this?
yeah. And my coach would just look at me and go like jokingly be like, "Oh my god."
I don't
It
know.
was yeah, he'd be like, "I have no idea. That's not my team logo on the cap. Don't worry about it."
Oh my goodness. That's hilarious. That's totally something I would do. 100%.
It made it more fun, like just taking everything in stride and just enjoying every race as it came.
Yeah.
This is definitely not a question that I forgot about earlier. Definitely not.
Okay. Understood.
But it's one that I think would be a lot of fun to talk about.
Okay.
While I was doing research for this interview, like everywhere I looked, I saw like Scholastic All-American or Honor Roll or so many different academic achievements.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you can talk about like that balance, because it's hard in a D1 school, especially a D1 school as competitive and as good as Georgia.
Yeah.
It's hard to have that balance, and I'm wondering if you can talk about how you've managed that over the 3 years you've been there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say I'm gonna give credit all the way back to like my childhood and my mom. I think my mom did an amazing. She's like the smartest person I know. First of all, she has her master's in applied math from UGA. Genius. And I think she just really instilled in me the importance of academics and like that you could have both and it would still be okay. And I know that like if I was really worried about a test in high school, it was always okay, well, like, do you need to miss swimming because you need to study? And obviously I was like, no, mom, I never need to miss swimming. I love swimming. I'm going to practice. It makes me clear my head and I can study better after or something like that. But yeah, just having her like teach me that there was times to do everything and that not to get overwhelmed and not overcrowd your plate and you could handle it all. I think that's definitely like one of the keys is time management. If you know that I would say a lot of things in my life will take the backseat to swim in school. Like, for example, like doing my laundry. Like maybe that doesn't happen all the time, but I have other things that I have to do. But also like taking advantage of the resources that Georgia has. Like if you need tutoring, they can get you in tutoring for a class the next day because you are struggling, or making sure you communicate with your coaches about your schedule and not taking more than you can handle, but also like making sure you're making progress on your degree. And like it's funny, freshman year Jack always was like whenever we would leave the pool, he was like, all right, get some A's, go get some A's. And Steph always makes sure that like if we're gonna have a conflict, we can like make practices like at a different time, or if we need to come in on our own, or she does a really good job of making sure that we are focused on both things at once. Because I mean, you are a student athlete, like you're not just here to swim and you're not just here to do school. But yeah, I would say it's like the support that I have. I don't think there's so many smart people on our team. I mean, I'm sure you, if you were researching, you saw all the stuff about Kelly Dickinson, and she's an amazing role model for us to all look up to and try and be like. But yeah, I don't know. It's all from my mom.
I think it's something that, like, in recent times, it's become more prevalent in college programs. Whereas, like, I feel like in the early 2000s and in, like, the 90s and 80s, it was a very... There's stories about it, but it was a very, like, cutthroat type of deal. Like, there was a lot of coaches... Not every coach, but there's a lot of coaches who were very, like, no, you're here to swim for the team, and you need to focus on swimming for the team. And I feel like in the past 10, 15 years, there's been a new like generation of coaches that have come in, and just a few of those coaches who stuck around that have been a positive influence, like Eddie Reese or Jack Baurele, who've been around for so long, have brought in that positivity. But short story long on this tangent, it's just become more about the individual and the individual success. Like, coaches are more focused on making sure that each swimmer is happy and each swimmer is doing well, because ultimately that's what'll lead to that success.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't speak for your experiences, and I can't speak for what you've been through and done in your time at Georgia, but probably if you hadn't had that balance instilled in you and it hadn't been something that like you'd practiced, it probably would have yielded less success in the pool. Which I think is just something a lot of coaches recognize now, is like telling people like, hey, if you need to miss a practice or come in on your own time to get this assignment done or to go to this class, like, do that. It's just something that I like.
Yeah,
that coaches
they're
do that.
definitely still very focused on swimming. Like, we try and minimize like class conflicts, but those things happen, especially with like the STEM majors on our team. Sometimes an upper level like chemistry class, for example, will only be offered
like once on like 8 a.m. on
like
2 days of the week.
3 to 5 p.m. when it's like prime practice time or something like that. But oftentimes you're not the only one who has a class conflict, and so you and another person can swim the practice at a different time by yourself. But yeah, they're super when it comes to making sure that everybody gets what they need, and it's very tailored to every single person. And because like, so swimming ends, we're gonna have, like, you asked me what my post-college plans are. Well, if I don't get a degree, I have no idea. I'm gonna have to figure out a whole nother plan. So yeah.
Abby, thank you so much for sitting down with me. This was so much fun. I'm so happy for you, like, coming off of an NCAA title. Like, I'm so excited to see where things go for you from here. Something fun, if you're a fan of stickers, I have Big Friendly Swim Podcast stickers. It's not going to show up because I have, like, my camera blurred.
Wait, which one is it?
It's the guy holding a sign.
Oh, okay, yeah, cool.
It's like the meme of, like, the guy holding a sign, and I put, like, my logo on it. And it says, listen to my podcast.
Okay.
And it's like,
I was about to be like, oh, I have them all over my computer, but I'm using my computer for this. But I will definitely put one on my computer.
Send me an address you'd want this sent to. Like, I have like a logo sticker as well, like just my logo on a sticker. So I'll send you some stickers and some fun stuff. So feel free to send an address that you want that sent over to.
Perfect. Thank you so much for all your time and for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on. This was awesome. I'm like, good luck in your journalism degree.
Thank you. I will let you know. maybe I could help you out one day. Who knows?
I actually took this semester I took it way more low key in my school. Like, I took less classes and I'm more like focusing on doing this, and it's been like kind of awesome. Like, I had like 200 Instagram followers in February.
Yeah.
And now I'm like nearing on 600, and every video that I'm posting is getting like thousands of views on Instagram. And I'm like gaining subscribers on YouTube. So it's been like, the effort that I'm putting in is getting me somewhere, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
I don't know when this will be posted. It might be tomorrow. It might be in a month.
Okay, no
because
worries.
I'm probably gonna end up posting it tomorrow because I want to post something right after NCAA's.
Okay.
But like, I have interviews scheduled out right now through like May 16th.
Oh my goodness.
Which
That's
is like
awesome.
crazy. Like, I have a Hunter Armstrong interview that I'm just sitting on, and I don't know when to release it.
Ooh. Do you have who's like super fun that's coming up?
Let me...
One that you're really excited for.
The Hunter Armstrong one, definitely. I did one with Mackie Hodges on Monday.
Oh, yeah.
That one was
awesome.
really fun.
Yeah.
I interviewed Kayla Hahn. She's like, I don't know if you've heard of her. She's like,
I have.
She like made the Olympic trials and she was like 12. It was crazy.
That's so cool.
Those are the ones I'm most excited about coming up. Like recently, I interviewed Herbie Bem at ASU. That was fun.
Okay.
Rachel Klinker was a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, she's a sweetheart.
She's such a goofy individual. Like I knew within like 5 seconds of talking to her, I'm like, okay, there's gonna be a lot of laughs in this interview. Like we broke down laughing for like a good like 2 minutes at one point.
Yeah,
it was so funny.
She's best friends with one of the guys on my team, and I can tell that those two together are hilarious.
She's such a fun individual. Like she's definitely like the goofball on the Cal women's team that everybody loves. She just makes everyone laugh.
She's great.
I did actually interview. I interviewed Dune on the Georgia team.
Yeah.
Like back in December, she was great. She was so much fun.
Yeah, she's great. You should try and get Segi on too. Then the whole
I want to. She's on the list definitely. Like I have a list of like people that like I definitely want to interview. Some of whom are way out of the realm of possibility. Like Michael Phelps is on the list. Some of whom are like, okay, I could probably reach out to this person and they'd feasibly respond.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Michael Phelps would be cool.
I actually emailed like the Michael Phelps Foundation in like January of last year, and they were like, "Sorry, he's busy." Like, fair enough.
At some point you'll be big enough that he'll be like, "Can I come on your podcast?"
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
And then I'm headed to Olympic trials this summer to do like journalism work there. So if you're there, I'll see you there. I'll say hi.
Yeah, I'll see you.
But yeah, it's been crazy. Like there's no other word to put it. Like it's been amazing. Like I've had weekly interviews posted since December 14th. Actually, no, November 27th.
That's impressive. That's
I
know because of my major, I know how like much work it is to contact people and actually set something up and actually have them come and actually put the interview together and get the content you want out of it. So like that's
especially with people in different time zones.
Yeah, no, when you were like, oh, it'll be what 3 hours earlier for me, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine trying to schedule with that. But
there was one guy there. I interviewed a guy in Dubai, so it was like a 12-hour time difference. So I was up at like 5 a.m.
Yeah. Oh man, and he's like, "Oh, can I eat dinner, please?" And you're like, "I just want to wake up." Oh my goodness, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I'm trying to think like what's been my favorite one. I mean, the Nathan Adrian one has to be my favorite one because he told like it's gonna be the peak of my life. That the fact that he told me, "Oh my God, I'm so impressed with like." Your knowledge of swimming and your knowledge of the stuff you're talking about," and then he thanked me for interviewing him, and I'm like, "Hi."
Like I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
It's been so much fun. Like I've just been so grateful that like anybody is willing to watch my stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The podcast format is definitely like
it's taken off right now. It's been doing pretty good. Like it's still obviously a swim podcast is a very niche thing.
Yeah.
Like not a lot of people are going to be tuning into like a swim podcast, but I've been trying to make like shorts as well, talking about like I made like 5 shorts about Gretchen Walsh because every time I'd make a short, she'd do something else crazy.
I can't make enough videos for how many people live.
But just like trying to explain some big crazy swimming thing to an audience that maybe doesn't know swimming and trying to like grow the sport. Like that's been the main goal is just getting more people to swimming.
Yeah. Well, and like especially I think now is a really cool time for women's athletics when you have people like Caitlin Clark like being the face of college basketball, and like I think you could do something similar like with the promotion of people who touch the water, and every single time they do, it's American record. Like, I think this is definitely a moment to capitalize on. And
it's also been fun because like my podcast name is the Big Friendly Swim Podcast. So like when I was at like Golden Goggles in November, I was in this lineup of like people who do this as a career, people who got paid to be there. And I'm just sitting there like, Big Friendly Swim podcast, and it got a laugh out of everybody. Like, it got a giggle out of everyone. Like, Ryan Murphy came up to me, and he was like this stoic, like, 6'6" guy. And I'm like, Big Friendly Swim podcast, and he cracked a smile, and he was like, he was having more fun with it. And then I lure them in with, like, well thought out questions.
You're like, I'm just here to have a good time.
Yeah. No, it's always a goal of mine with like every interview. I'm like, I want the person who I'm interviewing to have fun.
Yeah.
And I want it. There's gonna be laughs. There's gonna be fun stuff involved. But I also want them to know that like their time is like important, and that like I've put the time in to make sure that like I've done the research to be asking them good questions.
Yeah, no, when you sent me the list of questions, I was like, that's one thing we learn as journalism majors is like the importance of the background research, making sure you're not asking stuff that you should know from a quick Google search and stuff. But yeah, like, and I feel like you gave me good questions to talk about, like things that I would want to talk about, like my team and the split program and fun memories. Like all of those are fantastic things that I would like love to share with more people. So
it's always fun coming up with questions, like, because everybody's different. Everybody's got such different experiences. Like talking to Hunter Armstrong about, like, I'm not sure if you saw World Championships in February, but they threw him on an 800 free relay. They threw a 50 and 100 backstroker on an 800 free relay, and he went 146.7, and then went 145 in finals. So talking like stuff like that is always so much fun, like to talk to people about. Yeah. Because now he told me, he's like, I might swim it in prelims at trials and just see what I go.
Imagine having the range to just be like, yeah, I think I might just swim
His
it at
flat
trials.
start best is 153.
Oh my gosh.
And he split 145, and I'm like, dude, please swim it. Like you would be on that relay.
That's wild. That's amazing. Good for him.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of any other like fun stories that I've had. I mean, I'll send you pictures of them, but when interviewing Herbie Bem, he had like two of these documents that he made that were like how to swim a 200 freestyle. And like here's like the top 10 in history in the 200 freestyle, and here's how they swam it, and here's how they split it, and like talking about what's different about each person. And I'm like, oh my god, I get to sit here with like the coach for the team that's at least most likely to win a men's national title this year, and just pick his brain for an hour and a half about the stuff that he's made. Like, this is the swim nerd's dream.
Yeah, that's so funny that he does that, because that's like Fernando, our assistant. He is the exact same way. Like, we have these crazy pace sheets that he like spends hours in Excel on, and it's like, for example, he'll be like after SCC, he was like, Abby, your mile was exactly on the pace sheet. Like, he got it, like every 50 was the right time, and like every, like the 500 and the 1,000 splits were all right. And he'll be like, this is what I think it's going to take to win SCCs. This is what it's going to take to get top 8 at NCAAs. And so like the nerdiness of all these coaches.
I love when swim nerds are coaches, because it's so much fun. Like, they just do so much crazy stuff. I mean, like, Herbie was telling me he documented Grant House's last 50 in the 200 freestyle, like, for the entire season.
Oh my god.
And told him, like, okay, I think it was like 23.9 or something on the last 50. And he told him, he was like, okay, go out faster. Trust me, you'll be 23.9 on the last 50.
Wow.
It was like to the 100th, and he split that to the 100th. And then he went like 130.2 or something. Like, he went like his lifetime best.
Of course. Like, it's crazy how technical swimming can be. Like, how there's all these new positions of like, what is it, statisticians and like mathematicians in sports, because it's like you don't realize how, like, he literally made him like a spray chart for like in baseball of his times. He's like, no, I know what you'll go.
Yeah.
You may feel bad, but I know. Like, and he's like, okay.
It's crazy, like, what people have been able to do. Yeah, I've had so much fun doing this. It's been, like, an absolute dream, and, like, I don't think I'm ever gonna get not super excited when I get a new interview or a new follower, a new subscriber. Like, this week alone, I interviewed Mackie Hodges on Monday. I had this interview with you today. Friday morning, I've got an interview with, his name is Dan McCulloh. He's like works with like the American Swim Coaches Association and does like all of their community development and like sets up all their big events and stuff.
Yeah.
And then on Saturday, I'm interviewing Olivia Peoples, who swam fly on that 200 free relay.
That was
and
crazy.
Split 22-2.
Our group chat went off. They were like, "Did she swim fly? Oh my gosh, did she just swim fly?" I was like, "There is no way. That is so cool."
As a person who loves the 50 fly, that was like the dream. I'm like, oh my god, you're my hero.
Imagine if we just saw like an influx of people starting to do that. That'd be
so funny. And she went faster than her 50 free split.
I don't know.
She went like a 10th faster than her 50 free split.
That's crazy.
It was ridiculous.
I will be watching that interview. I will hear about it.
I know. I'm really excited to see what she says. Like what she did to, if she's just training 50s butterfly in practice all the time.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, and like her relay teammates have to remember that it's.
Yeah, and she did a flip turn too.
Yeah,
apparently you don't have to do a two-hand touch on a 50 freestyle if you're swimming at butterfly.
Okay.
Which is something that I didn't know, because I watched the video and I'm like, wait, she should have gotten DQ'd. She didn't do a two-hand touch, but apparently you can just go right into a flip turn since it's freestyle.
That's crazy.
You just have to touch the wall on the other side and come back. Doesn't matter how you do it.
These are things they should tell us, you know? Like, I should know if something is legal. Who knows? That's so cool.
All right, Abby, well, I'll let you get going. I'm headed to work, unfortunately, soon here.
Oh, well, have fun with that.
It's coaching, so, I mean, I have fun with it.
Okay, good. Did you think any of my answers were, like, not good that I need to, like, redo? Or
No, you were great. Like, I'm a big believer in, like, authenticity, so, like, I mean, obviously, if there's something that somebody doesn't want in the interview, I edit it out. Yeah. But, like, I'm a big believer in, like, just authenticity and just whatever the person wants to say and is comfortable saying, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
And I've never really run into a problem of not having something that, like, I've been able to use as a short or a Instagram reel. Like, yeah. But thank you so much for being on. This was great. Especially talking to another journalism major is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, me too. You have a great rest. Actually, great rest of your night. Actually, it's evening for you at this point.
Yeah. You have a good rest of your midday.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.